So I'm Nita Patterson, known in the planner community as Neatly Planned. Today's class is all about increasing productivity. But before we jump into that, we are going to just cover a few housekeeping things. This class is actually going to be recorded. It'll have a playback. It'll be available at michaels.com/classes. It'll be available for watching on Tuesday. Most important, how you guys can engage with me, because this is a webinar. You will need to, you can talk with the fellow planners in the chat box, but as far as the actual questions that you want to ask me, you will need to do them in the Q&A box. Don't forget, Mary Ellen, Planning with Bumble, has a class right after me at 1:15, and you still have time to sign up for that, so don't forget. So again, just a little bit about why increasing productivity is so important for me. Over the last year, life has kind of gone crazy busy for me. As a working mom, I have so much to do. I love decorative planning, as we all do, but it's changed for me. So now it's all about like really maximizing my planner and getting the essential things done out of my planner, but still having it look cute. So hopefully today I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks, just things to help you draw your attention to specific things in your planner. And I hope it's good. So less talking, let's jump into the planner. So we're gonna switch it over to an overhead so you guys can look down at what I'm doing. And at any point you guys have questions, feel free to ask. I'm gonna try to slow down because I do normally talk fast, just so I can make sure that you guys understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, okay? So the first things, as you see, I have my planner pages. When I start my week, of course, I take my pages out of my planner. When I start, that's just my thing that I like to do. Also, it allows me to be able to write and not rub against the disk. The first things that I do, I pull my pages out, and then I start with a blank piece of paper. You can use filler paper. You can use, this is my written one, so I'll show you a blank one. So this is just a blank one. It has like some checklists. This one has where you can do schedules, so like an hourly, some boxes. But what I really love about this filler paper, it has a specific task. This says by subject, but I look at this by the day. So I'm gonna show you guys a filled in version of this. All right, so what I do, I typically start my planning process on Saturday evenings. I just start writing things out in my head. I also, for work, I have a digital calendar that I have to follow. So I take everything out of that digital calendar by the day and I get it all down on paper. Doing these brain dumps are essential for me. I'm a visual learner, so I have to see it to be able to do it. It also keeps me from having that overwhelming feeling like I just have so much going on, thinking that I may forget something. So as you guys can see, I've went ahead and pulled my events by the day. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I work Monday through Friday. I've also written out what time I have those events. And then I try to list them from most important to the least important. So I went ahead and did that. So I also have all of like my to-dos. If I'm gonna be the most productive ever, I write everything that I'd like to get accomplished for my week on this page. I like to do it on filler paper because if the week just gets crazy and I can't go to my planner, if I can't, write everything in, I have this page right and I can punch it right into my planner, or it's already pre-punched, but I can just keep it with me on the go, okay? So I'm gonna set that to the side. All right, so the thing that we all love as planners, we love the decorative part of planning. So a best practice for me when I'm doing my spreads, things that help me to cut down on time, I like using, these are called the planning, what are they called? The sticker planning guides. I got these at my local Michaels. You can pick them up. They're available on the website as well. Again, if you don't have these, you could also use wax paper, but this is just what I like doing. It saves me time because I'm not flipping through sticker books. I can pre-plan this, so if I'm sitting watching TV, I can go ahead and pick out my color scheme. When I'm picking a color scheme for the week, I keep it simple. I typically will do one pop of color in black and white. That's just like my go-to. And I usually will incorporate the black and white through washi tape or boxes. And when I'm picking my color scheme, I typically will pick anywhere from 2 to 3 sticker books. So this spread, I'm using flowers and I'm using colorful boxes. So think of it as one functional, one decorative. And then I have just some bullets that I'll be using, and these came from Planner Basics, but they're found in any sticker book. You can find little dots or icons that you can use for bullets. So again, when I'm talking about my planning process, I like to pick stickers, bigger stickers as well. So I'll be using these really pretty purple florals. As you can see, everything coordinates. But when I'm doing like a work or very functional spread, I like to use bigger stickers because it cuts down on my planning time. I also, kind of a pro tip that I use, we spend a lot of time decorating, and sometimes we kind of get lost in the decorating that we don't get to the plans. And so I like to set a timer. Every week, that's kind of my me time. I set a timer for 20 minutes, and whatever I have at the end of that 20 minutes is it. And that just allows me to make sure that I'm maximizing my time and using, good time management, because I do have a lot to do. So once I do that and pick my color scheme, we start laying. So we'll go back and figure out where we need to have boxes based on the events that we have. So something that's really important for me in my planning process, I call it my 3 before 10. And you're like, Nita, what does that mean? I took a productivity class for work, and essentially in the class, they told us you want to get your 3 most important items for yourself completed before a certain time for the day. And so for me, 10 a.m. is it's my time cutoff. So I do my 3 top most important things every day before 10 a.m. Again, with my line of work, I work in healthcare, my day easily can get hijacked. So maybe it's not 10 a.m. for you, maybe it's 3 before 5 p.m. You got kids, it's in the evening, or maybe it's midday for you. But whatever that time frame looks like for you, setting your most important things to get done so your day doesn't get hijacked. Okay, so we're going to lay our events. So we'll start, and I always say a best practice is when I'm laying my boxes to have your pre-planned list in front of you. So right away, we know for Monday, we have 3 events. So we have 2 that are timed. So we have 2 meetings. So I need 2 stickers for that. And I always lay my most important things first before I lay any decorative stickers, because again, for me, it's about the function and not necessarily the decorative. The decorations are after I've laid all my plans. Okay, and I'm just cutting these. This is another way to kind of maximize your sticker books. And then what I do too, I like to plan kind of outside the lines. I was a merchandiser for 7 years, and so that's just aesthetically what I like. There's no rhyme or reason. So if you're like, Nita, why did you place it off to the side? That's why. Another thing that I use when I'm planning, I like to, if my meetings are running back to back, if you follow me, you'll see that I layer stickers on top of one another. That's just a visual cue for me to know, like if I have a meeting at 9, then I turn around and I have another meeting right back to back. There's no breaks at 10. So that's just, again, I'm always trying to give myself visual cues when I look at my planner. What does that mean? Another thing that I do that helps to maximize my productivity is when I'm planning my weeks, I only use boxes. So if you follow me, I can show you guys examples of what that looks like. I only use boxes in my planners for meetings, appointments, and any type of events that I'm going to have. So as you can see, those are only used in my planner for those specific things. That's every single week. And that's, for me, I always say simplicity and consistency. If I train my mind to do the same thing, it cuts down on my planning time. Again, I love all the decorative spreads. There's so many great spreads and people that do creative things with their planners. But for me, I need it to be all about the function. And so I can't do as many of the decorative elements, but I have found a system that works for me. So I just would encourage you to, whatever you're doing in your planner, just to do it consistently. Another thing that I do in my planner is the same way. I only use highlighters in my planners for time. So if I have an event date, like a project or a report that's due at a certain time, I will highlight that. So anything that's related to time in my planner, I do that. I highlight it. And that's a little crooked, but that's okay. Okay, so we're going to lay these. And as I lay them, guys, I mark it off in my planner. Here we go. Okay, so right away, and I use a check mark, and I'll tell you why I do the check mark, because then when I actually write the event in here, then I will go in and actually highlight it off of my running to-do list. So we have these two things, and then we have another task here that needs to be done. So for task, I do bullets. So then we're gonna go here on Tuesday, same thing. I have a 9 a.m. And I'm gonna use a smaller one for that. And you're like, oh, that doesn't look so cute right now. Don't worry, I promise you, it's gonna come together. And then I have this task that needs to be completed by end of day. So I'm gonna move that here. Also, when you're thinking about your boxes, not just for work, if you're a stay-at-home mom, you can think of using your boxes. I look at my boxes as morning, midday, afternoon, or late afternoon, because I work, like 9 to 5. But for a mom or any individual, it could be, hey, the top box is your personal box. The second box is all tasks for home. That last box is for your kids. It's just a way that you train your mind. Again, it's all about training your mind what each box represents and putting those events in that box every week. Again, that's back to the consistency piece of my planning process. Okay, so I've layered those two boxes, and then here we are on Wednesday. And this is just the other half of the pre-planning sheet that I grabbed. Okay, and so then I'm going to take some of these dark purple ones. And again, this is a great way too, if you're trying to cut down on your decorative planning process, just use contrasting colors of one particular shade. So like I have this purple, I'm using light and dark purples. Just adds character to the spread without, having to switch, flip through too many sticker books. Okay. Sorry, guys. All right, so I'm laying that. So we have all of our events here through Tuesday. All right, Wednesday, we have a 9 o'clock. I'm not gonna write that. I'm gonna show you guys how I use that when I have an event that's every day. So say you have a task that's like, you have to check emails every day for your job, or you have, like for me, I have a clinical phone call every day. I don't necessarily write that down every day across my planner because that just takes up my writing space. What I will do, I'll create like a small habit tracker on my sidebars. And you could also, if you work Monday through Friday and you're like, what can I use my weekend boxes for? That's a great way where you can add those information there, or just additional tasks on your weekends. Okay, so I'm adding this here. And again, I'm just marking it as I go along.
Anita, we do have a couple of great questions for you.
Sure, go ahead.
All right, great. Well, first of all, a couple people were asking if you can repeat what sticker books you are using.
Yes, so I'm using the flower sticker book, and I'm also using colorful boxes. And those, again, for colorful boxes, for me, it's because it has a variety of colors in it. So it's the complete rainbow. It cuts down like, oh, I'm looking for a pink sticker. The colorful box sticker books will always have every color that you need. They have black, silver, pinks, purples. It has every color in it. And then the floral sticker book, I like using it just because there's a variety of the big florals, but also color too. So I know that they'll coordinate well together.
And another thing a couple people want to know is, how do you stay productive when you don't feel very motivated?
So sometimes for me, I will set timers in my phone to get up. Especially working from home, we're all trying to find creative ways not to feel, we're stuck in the house. It's a little bit harder to have that like get up and go. So I set breaks. Even though I work from home, I set a timer to actually take a lunch break. When I was working prior to the pandemic, I always did working lunches. I never took time to actually sit down and eat lunch. And so working from home, I've made it a point to set timers to actually do that, to sit down and have lunch, take a minute, watch a show. I'm not a huge TV watcher, but just to set, time, whether it be watch news or watch an episode of something, but just setting breaks, scheduled breaks for myself. And then when I come back, I feel a little bit of refresh. If you're not into TV, maybe listen to some music or to go outside just to get some fresh air. But for me, I found getting up, moving around has helped. And coffee is always a good motivator. I love coffee and I like Coca-Cola. So those two things will give me a burst of energy.
Excellent. Some people are wanting to know, how do you use the morning, the afternoon, and the evening boxes?
Yeah, so for me, like I work, so I look at it like morning, afternoon, evening, and I just schedule out my events based on that for me. Now, if you are like a mom and you have stuff that you want to get done, so say maybe you want to plan out your chores. Remember I talked about those top 3 things before 10 a.m. That might be those things. So you have to figure out what are your most important things that you want to get accomplished. Some of those can be done in the morning, but sometimes they can't. So you just have to prioritize where you have the most amount of time to do those things. I hope that answers it. Because I think for individuals, that's going to look a little bit different. For everybody, that's going to be a little bit different. Okay, so this sticker is huge, as you guys can see. So I'm just cutting it in half. And then we're going to go in and actually write out our task. Okay, so I have all of my stickers placed as far as where they need to be for work and task. And then I'm just going in, adding some just simple design elements. Again, this is where it doesn't take a lot. And I like symmetry and balance when I'm creating a spread. So just those little pops, again, like you see how quickly that's coming together. Don't think that you have to do a lot to have a really pretty or decorative spread. It's just little elements here and there that kind of bring it all together. And again, I laid them, but all you do is just peel them up and they can overlap. Again, it's not taking away from our writing space. And I add just little pops to your spread. Okay. All right, so because we've already placed these, and I'm gonna add some more decorative elements, but I wanna show you guys as we write them in kind of what that looks like and me adding like the highlighter to that. So again, I've made my check boxes of all of my events that I have. So now we're gonna go ahead and write them in. Okay, and another thing that I've been doing, because we are working from home, it has been big for me. A lot of my meetings have been phone and video, and that can be confusing. You don't ever want to have an unexpected Zoom call and then not be Zoom ready. That's the worst, to have to be on Zoom and, might not have your face, or, you need to put on, a real top and not a, an athletic leisure top. Okay, touch base at 11 a.m. And so what I will do for the ones that are phone, I will either write video or phone on them so I know which one they are. So I can be prepared mentally for whatever it is. Okay, and then this is all pending for the month of July. Okay, and so once I write them in my planner, then I will highlight them. And this is my running to-do list. And so I like to do it simultaneously. Okay, and then here I have contact mapping. Do we have any other questions happening while I'm writing this?
Well, yes, everyone really loves all the filler paper you're using. Can you be specific with the different styles of fill that you're using right now?
Yeah, so filler paper is great. I always say this is like my go-to. If I don't have time to actually plan a week out, if you guys saw like my sign-up class, and I'll show you an example of that as well. If you don't have time to actually do a spread, you can use filler paper. I think so many times in the community, we feel like, oh, if I don't have a really pretty full spread that I can't post. So here's an example of a week that I just threw some stickers on a filler paper and wrote out my to-dos. So don't think like, oh, I don't have time to decorate a full spread, that I can't use my planner supplies, or I don't have anything to use. Don't keep that from you actually using your planner. Just use alternatives. So filler paper comes, it comes in classic, big, and mini. You also can use all the sizes in different ones. So I use a big, but I use mini filler paper. I use mini hourly filler paper. I like to use hourly paper when I have a conference or an event, like an all-day event, to keep from writing, you know, if you have breakout sessions or seminars at a bunch of different times, it keeps me from writing it in that day. And it also allows me to take notes on the back of it. And I really like that. And I'll show you guys an example of an hourly filler page as well.
People would also like to know which planner you use for productivity.
Yes, so I am currently using the Big Wild Style Happy Planner, the vertical. I've used a vertical line planner, and I really love that one. It wasn't an issue that I had with the vertical line. I just felt like for me, just having that running to-do list, I wasn't able to really use my boxes the way that I'm used to training my mind to do it, and I was forgetting things. And I think it's just because I've been using a vertical planner for the last 4 years. I really think that's the sole reason why it didn't work as much for me, just because I'm set in my ways on how I plan. Okay, so.
And you mentioned being a busy mom. Do you recommend using a separate planner for work and home?
So honestly, right now I'm only using one planner. I use the filler hourly pages as my weekly to-dos. And so I'm currently not using another planner for personal, just because right now I just don't have the time to decorate 2 planners. And that's just me being honest. So I just use I have a weekly like running to-do list, and I will write out like if I have events or appointments on that sheet. So like this brilliant ideas box, I could write like if I had a doctor's appointment for my daughter, or me and my husband have to coordinate who's picking up because we're both working from home. And so if he's, you know, in a meeting and I need to pick up my daughter from daycare, that's how we coordinate that. So I write all that down on just a running filler paper to-do list. And all right, so we have everything laid now. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back in. So here's another thing. I always say, just kind of a pro tip is you don't want to overplan your day. Again, I believe in the top 3. I think you should leave room for unexpected, because what happens is your day easily, if it becomes hijacked, then you have all the tasks from the previous day that didn't get accomplished. And that can leave you feeling overwhelmed and unproductive. So leave a little room in your plans for unexpected plans. Just as a mom, work that happens, you know, we get a last minute email, and of course, you know, everyone's, you know, last minute things now become our priorities that we have to do. And so I always say, just you want to leave room for those unexpected plans. Okay. All right, so now that we have all of those things laid, this is where I say, again, talking about productivity, this is where you have those bullets. And then you want to just go in. So it could be bullets, it could be hearts, it could be stars, whatever you have in your sticker books that you want to use, I like to do. And I'd like to do this for multiple reasons. One, it draws my attention to it, and I can also be able to verify if a task has been complete, because you can write it in your planner, but how do you know it's done? So a thing for me, how I know it's done in my planner, I use a checkbox, and I will show you guys kind of what that looks like for me in a finished spread. I want to give you guys examples, give you visuals on what that looks like. So this is an example of a completed after the pen spread for me. I've written out my task, and then I go back in with a checkbox. Now, you say, Nita, well, what if there is no checkbox? At the end of every week, every Friday, I review my full week. Any task that does not have a checkbox means it did not get completed. And then I create my next week's to-do list, and that task then gets added to the task list for next week. So that's how I keep up with it. This is also an example of how I use my sidebar for repeat tasks that I do every day. So if you're a mom, if there's chores that you do every day, if you're working, for me, there's two things that I have to check for work every day. I have to check emails, and then Qpulse is our training site that we use for my job. So I write those instead of writing that every day. Every day I have Qpulse, every day I have emails. I use my sidebar, and then I just write the day of the week and I check that it's been completed. So that's another way that you can use your sidebar or your weekends if you work Monday through Friday. Like, what can I do? That's just like a weekly habit tracker, and then it allows you to maximize your writing space. Your planner is not full of the same things that you're doing every day. Okay. All right. So, of course, if I have tasks that I know I'm trying to accomplish that day, I will put in bullets for that day. So like we have here, we have a couple tasks that I want to get done on Mondays. Mondays are just like my office day. And I would suggest anyone, if you, to set aside one day of week where it's like your tasking day. Like, I know if any day I'm going to be super productive, Mondays are my productivity day. It's kind of, I would say Sundays and Mondays kind of set your week up for success for me. Sundays, it's because I do all of my pre-planning on the front end. And then on Monday, I'm getting everything set up. I'm checking my emails. I'm scheduling what I'm going to do throughout the week. And I actually put another thing that I use, just kind of a tip that's worked for me, a best practice. I set time limits on tasks that I do. So for example, if you ever work a job, or, you know, for me, it's even cleaning and organizing, you could spend all day on one task. But then you feel like there's so many other things that you could have done. And so what I like to do is I like to set timers. Timers are big for me. So I might delegate an hour out of my day. That's another way, a great way to use hourly sheets. I'll show you an example of that. And once that time is up, so here it is. I had orientations, I had documents, and literally I had hours blocked off for that time. So here I had a touch base. I knew I was going to have follow-up after that touch base meeting. So I gave myself till 1 o'clock. So I don't try to schedule things back to back if I can help it. So again, leaving room in there for your plans. Okay, so I put my bullets down, and then I will go back in and add some headers.
Anita, while you're doing that, I just wanted to do a time check. It's 1 p.m. Central Time.
Okay, perfect.
And a lot of people are asking, do you carry your planner with you?
I do. My planner is on the go with me. I use a big Happy Planner. I have a big work bag because I have to carry my iPad and laptop for work. So I take my planner on the go with me. I have also made it part of my morning and evening routine. So first thing in the morning, of course, I do my devotional. Then I open up my planner. I have my cup of coffee, and I do an overview of what I have for that day. I also have to make adjustments because things get added to my work calendar. So that's where I will go in and add if I have additional meetings or if I have something else that comes up for family. And then same way at the end of the day, I always will look at my planner before bed to see, hey, you know, did my travel schedule change for work? Because I do travel. And so again, just making it, I say with everything, it's about consistency. Making it a habit will allow you to just train your mind to do it every single week. And again, this is just adding some decorative elements to it to kind of give it that pop. Okay. So again, little things, and then if we want to like zhuzh it up, I always do washi tape. I've used washi tape forever, but for some people too, another way that you could use washi tape is if you have something that's going on all week long. So for a conference, you could use the washi tape to identify, hey, I have this particular training all week long. So, you know, it can be decorative, but it still can serve a purpose. And then washi tape is also another great way that you can add decorative elements to your planner without it taking up a lot of time by adding stickers. Okay. And again, this has been like when Happy Planner, reached out to me about being a mentor. I was like, hey, life has changed for me. It's all, I want to continue to share my love of planning. But this season of my life, it's all about productivity and time management. So if you guys, if you're fine with me sharing that, then I'm all on board for being a mentor. And of course, Happy Planner, they're all about productivity and planning, decorative planning. And so I was super excited to come back as a mentor and be able to share these little tips and tricks that I've learned over the last year and a half, just as life has changed. And you got to be okay with that. If you can't post as many spreads and do as many decorative things as someone else, that's okay. Like whatever works for you, just embrace that, I would love to do, have a bunch of different planners for each thing, but just in this season of my life, I just can't.
Anita, speaking of change, people are asking if your plans changes, do you use stickers or whiteout?
So typically if my plan changes, I will, so a lot of times the stickers, you can pick them up and move them. And if they're not as sticky anymore, you can use like a Tombow adhesive pin to just relay them. But I usually will just pick it up and move it. Now, if a plan gets canceled, sometimes I'll just, I'll use a star that plan has been rescheduled. So I don't necessarily like to scratch things out in my planner, but I'll just star. And a star to me means that it was canceled and it needs to be rescheduled. Okay. So once I get everything laid, I like to review it. And again, this is just me double checking to make sure that I have everything that I originally set out in my planner to do listed. And so I will go back in. Again, I have additional tasks here that I can write out for my bullets. That's where I will place all of these additional events. You can lay it out however it best works for you. Some people like to have just a running to-do list. Some people like to actually write it down. It's just a preference. Just remember, these are just tips that have worked best for me. You got to find a system that works for you. I'm just sharing, over time what I've learned and kind of just my go-to planning process. Okay, and so once I have all of those things done, let's see, I add my bullets. And that's just, I feel like that's just kind of an overview of what I do. There's no rhyme or reason that I overcomplicate it. I just like, again, for simplicity and consistency, I just say are like my best practices that I could tell anyone that's starting out with planning. You want your planner to be productive. You still want it to be cute. I just say be consistent with it. Whatever you do, do it every single week and actually open up and look at it. I always say to do it, you got to see it. So to get it out of your head, get it down on paper will allow you to really maximize how you use your planner.
Anita, a lot of people are asking if you can share some ideas on the monthly layouts.
So the monthly layouts for me, I travel for work. And I don't know if you want to switch it back over to camera because that's pretty much how I lay it out in my planner. And so I can talk to you guys kind of like face to face because that's my jam. But yeah, like for me, using the monthly layout, I use it for work. For me, I use it to track my mileage. And so any places that I go, I have to submit a monthly expense report. So I like to write out, where I went. So I travel to different hospitals. I write what hospital I went and what the mileage was. So that's what I use my monthly view for. You can also use it if you have events that are coming ahead of time. If you don't want to write them in your planner because you think, hey, those plans aren't set, use your monthly for that as kind of like a pre-planning view. It allows you to kind of get it out, write it down somewhere. And then you can also, I use sticky notes in my monthly view because that way when I'm actually planning, I can take that sticky note and just set it down kind of with my pre-planning list that I use.
Do you ever use color coding, Nita?
So I don't use color coding. There are some great, planners that use color coding. April Mom Run Craft is a great person that she is great at using color coding. She uses the midliners as she uses each color for one of her kids. They have a very heavy sports schedule, so she uses color coding to identify each task for each kid. You could also use color coding to be able to differentiate between like home, work, personal. Just setting a color for each task, I guess, or each category would be a color.
And do you have any favorite pens that you use?
Yes, and so kind of that's back to my simplicity consistency. So I am team black pen. I use the Pilot G27. That is my go-to pen. That's the pen that I use every single week. It doesn't bleed on your planner. I know that's a big thing. You don't want to make it super pretty and then, it bleed through. And so I know the Papermate flares, they don't bleed through as well. And a lot of the girls have done like pen tests to check to see which ones write the best. But the Pilot G2 is my go-to pen.
Excellent. And people would really love to know where to find you on YouTube.
YouTube, yes. So YouTube and Instagram, I am Neatly Planned. So it's all the same, Neatly Planned, all together.
And what do you do with your planners once they're completed?
So once they are completed, I'm probably like most of us. Let's see. I have my very first happy planner. I keep them. I keep them. This is my first original happy planner. Oh, how things have changed. I like to keep them. I think it's cool to look at how your planning style has evolved. Mine has drastically evolved. And I think they're just fun to look at. It's also good to like go back and view like as seasons of your life, like how busy you were and appreciate when things kind of slow down a little bit. I use them kind of just to reflect gratitude as well.
And that's a good segue into what people are asking. Does your planner sit on your desk?
So it goes with me. So my planner goes with me when I'm out and about working because I have to track things. I have to keep, with my job, I have to keep policies on hand, which is one of the reasons why I love the Big Happy Planner because it's letter size. So I can punch reports or things that I need right from my email and put them right into my planner. I have a tab in my planner just for tasks that I keep. And so my planner, it's goes on my desk, but I also take it with me so I can write in it on the go.
And what are some of your favorite extension packs?
Ooh, favorite extension packs. I've used the Budget. Budget was really, really great in the when we were working on some financial goals for ourselves. I liked really using the Budget just because you'd be amazed. I'm just tracking my daily spending. They now have like the Budget sticker book that you can get that has like that daily tracker. Amazon will get you in trouble. And so it was great to be able to track just daily spending. And it was good to have a visual looking down at that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
How many months do you keep in at a time?
I keep 6 months at a time in my planner. And I do that because I have a lot of extras. If you want to go to the overhead, I can kind of show you what that looks like for me. Is it overhead? Okay. And so as you can see, so I have a task here that's task, and I have information in here. And then this is a particular hospital that I work with. So I have a tab for them. And then I have 2 additional tabs that I use just for filler papers. I keep project sheets in my work planner. And so I keep 6 months at a time, sometimes 7 months, depending how far out we're planning. So like if I know for work, we're doing some planning ahead, I'll get those additional months in if we're going to a new quarter. But typically I keep 6 months to keep it from being too bulky.
Okay, great. And let's see, a couple of other questions. Do you think Frankenplanner is a good way to keep up with planning?
Frankenplanning is a great idea if you want to have multiple planners, but you don't want to feel like you're forgetting one. So if you want to have a personal planner and a work planner and a social media planner, I like the idea of Frankenplanning because you have it all in one, kind of all housed together, and you can flip back and forth. I think sometimes when you have planners separated, you can forget to actually open them and use them, and things can get forgotten. But Frankenplanning houses it all together. And so I like the idea of that. If I was going to use multiple planners, I think that would be a great idea to use them that way. I did use, the first half of the year, I did use a Skinny Mini Classic as personal because that was really great on the go. And I could also put like my shopping list in there if I was out shopping. So that was also great to have as well.
And how did you get involved into with the Happy Planner and decorating planning?
So I had a really good friend that was like, I needed it. I've always used a planner. I've been a Lisa Frank sticker, agenda girl my whole life. And so I had a girlfriend that was like, hey, I think there's a planner. At the time I was a fashion merchandiser. And she was like, I think there's a planner that you would really like. And so of course, through that, I took one trip to my local Michael's and grabbed my first Happy Planner. And I've been hooked ever since. It kind of for me combined the things that I loved most, which was kind of like crafting. You have those planning aspects. And then I also love the design aspects of it, and I could customize it. Many paper planners that I've used in the past, I couldn't add things to them. And so that was really difficult for me because, if you can't add them in there, that you could risk, pages or additional sheets falling out. And so it was just unorganized for me. And it really defeated the purpose of having a planner if it wasn't actually organized. So I really like having, being able to customize it and make it fit. And it didn't necessarily look like anyone else's.
Excellent, great. And people want to know, what were the categories that you used for the boxes, and what do you do if you don't have anything for that week?
Yeah, so again, I always say you can use your boxes, you can categorize them however you like. Like if you don't necessarily work and you want to categorize them for, home, personal, maybe shopping. For me, I categorize my boxes as morning, midday, afternoon, just because I don't necessarily work in the evening.
And one more time, can you share your YouTube and any other channels that you can be reached on? People seem to be asking that quite a bit.
Yeah, so on YouTube, I am Neatly Planned. On Instagram, I'm Neatly Planned as well. And then I also have just a Facebook fan page. It's Neatly Planned as well. Everywhere, it's Neatly Planned across the board.
And I think that's a wrap for our questions.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. And don't forget that the next video up, the next class is Mary Ellen's, and her class is all about creating a fun rainbow spread. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. And as I always say, keep sweet.